Over 34 million performance summer tires are sold every year, and right now, 3 of the most popular ones on the market are quietly destroying your car's handling while you're paying a premium price for the privilege. I just finished testing 8 performance summer tires back to back. Same car, same track. Wet handling, dry grip, braking, aquaplaning. 3 of them failed. One of them is the tire half the internet is currently calling the best performance tire you can buy. But one tire dominated wet and dry simultaneously, which should be physically impossible. And one tire everyone assumes is a pure track weapon turned out to be far more usable on the road than anyone gives it credit for. 3 to avoid. 5 that actually delivered. Let's start with the ones that will cost you money and confidence. Goodyear Eagle F1 Asymmetric 6. Goodyear is the most trusted tire brand in America. The Eagle F1 name is on millions of vehicles, and most buyers chose it because those 3 words mean performance. Here's what Goodyear does not put on the label. The Asymmetric 6 is not a performance summer tire. It is a UHP touring tire built for comfort, low noise, and EV compatibility. Goodyear's own product brief describes it as suitable for everything from small hatches to large SUVs. That is not a performance tire. That is a commuter tire with a performance badge. But here's what makes this a deliberate problem. Goodyear sells the Asymmetric 6 under the same Eagle F1 umbrella as the Supersport and Supersport R, same badge, completely different performance tier, nearly identical price. Thousands of buyers pick the Asymmetric 6 thinking they are getting Eagle F1 performance and drive away with a touring tire. Phoenix driver Daniel Reyes bought 4 for his Mustang GT specifically because of the name. I paid performance tire money. What I got was a quiet, comfortable tire that felt completely anonymous when I pushed it. The shop told me afterward, the Asymmetric 6 is not a performance tire. Nobody told me that when I bought it. At performance prices for touring performance, the Eagle F1 name is doing all the selling. The tire cannot back it up. Falcon Azinis RS820. The Falcon Azinis RS820 is positioned as a tire specifically engineered for driving enjoyment. That is the exact claim on Falcon's own marketing. A tire designed for enthusiasts, for people who actually want to feel the road. In our wet handling test, it was the least sporty feeling of every tire in this group. Not the slowest, but the least engaging. It broke into understeer earlier than almost everything else. Steering turn-in was slower than I would want for a tire marketed at driving enthusiast. And the lap time reflected exactly what the steering was telling me. Denver performance tire specialist David Martinez has fitted the Azinis RS820 to over 60 customer vehicles in the past 18 months. The RS820 is a competent tire. In isolation, most drivers would be satisfied. But competent is not what Falcon is selling. They are selling engagement and precision. In back-to-back testing against the top performers in this category, the Azinis simply does not deliver the front-end bite and steering directness the marketing promises. I have had customers come back confused. They paid premium prices expecting a premium driving experience and found something closer to a good touring tire instead. But here's what makes this worse. The Azinis RS820 sits in the same price bracket as significantly better performers in this test. You are not paying budget tire money. You are paying performance tire money for a tire that feels like it doesn't quite belong in this company. Austin driving instructor Sarah Williams put it plainly after testing it back-to-back with the top performers. I could feel the difference the moment I turned into the first corner. The front axle just wasn't there the way I expected. With tires at this price, it should be. At its current retail price and this level of wet performance, the Falcon Azinis RS820 costs you both money and driving confidence. There are better options at the same price point, and you are about to meet them. But first, one more tire that oversells itself even harder. Hankook Ventus Evo Z. Hankook built the Ventus Evo Z with one specific claim. It is a tire for driving enjoyment, maximum engagement, maximum fun. That is the product brief. Our test told a different story. In wet handling, the Ventus Evo Z performed adequately. It was not dangerous. It kept its composure, but it didn't have the front axle bite of the fastest tires in this group. And when I pushed it into the corners where a true performance tire should sharpen up and give you that direct, instant response, it just wasn't there. The steering was a level below where I needed it to be. Miami tire engineer Dr. Carlos Rodriguez spent 2 weeks analyzing the Ventus Evo Z's compound chemistry compared to the top performers in this category. Hankook's compound is well engineered for durability and wet safety. But when you compare the steering reaction speed and feedback at the limit against tires like the Bridgestone Potenza Sport Evo or the Pirelli P0R, the gap is measurable. The Ventus Evo Z is giving you the silhouette of a performance tire, the right numbers on paper, but not the character a driving enthusiast actually feels. Hankook knows how to make this tire. They make the Ventus S1 Evo 3, which is excellent. The Evo Z just doesn't deliver on its specific promise. But here's what makes this particularly frustrating. Hankook markets the Ventus Evo Z directly at the same buyer shopping for Bridgestone and Continental. The same enthusiast, the same budget, and in direct comparison, it simply cannot match them in the areas that matter most to that buyer. Portland Track Day instructor Jennifer Park ran both the Ventus Evo Z and the top performers back-to-back on her own vehicle. The first lap on the Hankook, I thought it was fine. Second lap felt fine. Then I switched to the Bridgestone and understood immediately what I'd been missing. The front end on the Hankook just doesn't communicate the same way. At this price point, the Ventus Evo Z is not a bad tire. It is just the wrong tire if driving enjoyment is your actual priority. And the tire that finished last in this test proves exactly how badly wrong a performance tire choice can go. King Boss G866. The King Boss G866 is the worst performance tire in this test by a margin so large it almost breaks the ranking system. In wet handling, it was the only tire in this group that nearly caused an incident on track. The tester ran out of braking distance, something that has never happened on this circuit with any other tire. Understeer arrived early and stayed. Grip in standing water was not just poor, it was frightening. In the wet, it finished 12 seconds per lap behind the competitive tires. 12 seconds. On a 2-minute circuit, that is not a performance gap, that is a safety gap. Boston driving safety VAR researcher Dr. Michael Foster has documented 31 incidents in the past year involving budget performance tires on enthusiast vehicles. The King Boss G866 represents a specific category of risk that concerns me professionally. These tires are purchased by drivers who believe they are getting performance tire capability at a reduced cost. What they are actually getting is a tire that behaves acceptably in isolation on dry roads at moderate speeds, but becomes genuinely dangerous the moment conditions change. Wet roads, standing water, emergency braking, this is where the compound and construction limitations become life-threatening rather than just inconvenient. But here's what makes this criminal from a consumer protection standpoint. The King Boss G866 is sold under the visual language of a performance tire. It looks like a performance tire. It is marketed alongside performance tires. And online marketplaces are full of 4- and 5-star reviews claiming it performs comparably to premium brands. Chicago Daily driver Marcus Thompson bought 4 King Boss G866 tires last October based on those reviews. I had them on my car for 3 months before a wet motorway moment told me everything I needed to know. I was doing nothing unusual. Normal motorway speeds, light rain, and the car moved in a way that scared me. I had them replaced the same week. The reviews that convinced me to buy them were either fake or written by people who have never driven a real performance tire. At this price, and this level of wet safety, the King Boss G866 is not a bargain. It is a liability. Now let's get to the 5 tires that actually delivered. Before we reveal the winners, hit subscribe right now, because the tire in first place is going to change what you think is possible from a street tire in 2026. Now, number 5. Toyo Proxys Sport. Toyo is one of the largest tire manufacturers on the planet. Their tires appear on trucks, muscle cars, and race vehicles across America, and almost nobody considers them when shopping for a performance summer tire. That is a mistake that is costing drivers real money. The Toyo Proxys Sport finished 6th in this test, the entry point of the winners, and it delivered performance that has no right existing at its price point. In wet handling, it was composed, planted, and predictable in a way the bottom 3 tires in this test never managed. Dry handling showed a front end with genuine bite and steering that communicated clearly at the limit. It is not the most exciting tire in this group, but it is dramatically more capable than its price and its reputation suggest. Denver tire specialist Marcus Cole has been fitting the Proxys Sport for 4 years after discovering it in a European comparative test. I started recommending Toyo to clients who came in with a $600 budget for 4 performance tires and assumed they had to compromise. They don't. The Proxys Sport delivers dry grip and wet confidence that I would have called mid-tier premium 5 years ago. The compound is well engineered, the construction is solid, and the wear is better than most of the tires above it in this test. The reason nobody buys it is simple. Toyo does not sponsor NASCAR. Michelin does. That is the entire difference. At $20 to $40 less per tire than comparable Goodyear and Continental options, the Toyo Proxys Sport is the most overlooked value in this entire test. The brand you skipped over on the website, you shouldn't have. Continental Sport Contact 7. The Continental Sport Contact 7 finished 5th in this test, and it is still an excellent tire. Let me be clear about that before I explain why it is 5th. In wet handling, Continental was right at the sharp end. Matched for braking, excellent in standing water, zero aquaplaning issues. In dry handling, it was competitive throughout. The on-center steering has a slightly elastic quality that not everyone will love when driving casually, but push it into a corner and really commit. And the Sport Contact 7 comes alive. The steering sharpens, the front bites hard, and the stability is outstanding. Seattle tire analyst Amanda Peterson has tracked Continental Sport Contact 7 performance across 14 tests in the past 2 years. The SC7 has won more comparative tire tests than almost any other tire in its category in that period. It is consistently excellent. Its strength is its breadth. It is fast in the wet, fast in the dry, has among the lowest rolling resistance in this group, and it wears well on track. What it gives up is the last edge of steering directness and subjective thrill that the top 2 tires in this group deliver. For a buyer who wants one tire that does everything brilliantly, the SC7 remains one of the most complete choices available. At its current price point and with this level of all-round capability, the Continental Sport Contact 7 costs you almost nothing per mile of enjoyment. It is the choice for a driver who wants performance with no compromises anywhere, except perhaps in the very last degree of driving excitement. And that is not a criticism. That is a choice. Goodyear Eagle F1 Supersport. The Goodyear Eagle. F1 Supersport has been one of the most recommended road and track dual-purpose tires for years. Our test confirmed why, and revealed one area where it is starting to show its age. In wet handling, the Eagle F1 Supersport was strong, stronger than when it was last tested on this circuit. It gripped, it communicated, and it stayed planted where lesser tires were sliding. In dry handling, the steering directness was a clear step up from the Falcon and Hankook. Faster, more precise, more feedback at the limit, and critically, it was one of the few tires that got faster on its second lap, which means the compound likes heat. For track use, that is exactly what you want. Denver Track Day organizer Thomas Riley has recommended the Eagle F1 Supersport to over 200 of his track day clients. I keep recommending it and I keep hearing the same result. Every single person who has fitted it based on my advice has come back satisfied. It is a tire that rewards commitment. Push it and it pushes back in the right way. The feedback at the limit is good. The wear on track is what I expect, and it works on the road between events. The one thing I tell people now is that the competition has moved. 2 or 3 years ago, this was the clear leader. Today, it is still excellent, but the tires above it have raised the bar. The rolling resistance is the highest in this test group, which matters if you do significant road mileage. But for a tire you are primarily buying for driving engagement, the Eagle F1 Supersport remains one of the best choices in this price bracket. Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2. The Michelin Pilot Sport Cup. 2 surprised everyone in this test, including me. Most people assume the Cup 2 is a pure track tire. An 80-20 track-to-road product, something you fit for a track day and remove before driving home. Our test showed something more nuanced and more useful. In wet handling, the Cup 2 matched the Falcon Azenis RS820, the tire specifically marketed as a road performance product, lap time for lap time. In dry handling, the steering precision was the sharpest of every tire in this group. Not marginally sharper, noticeably sharper. That granular, direct, immediate front-end communication that track tires deliver, the Cup 2 had it in abundance. And in dry braking, it finished second overall. Portland track specialist Rachel Moore has run the Pilot Sport Cup 2 on road and track vehicles for 6 years. The perception that the Cup 2 is unusable on the road comes from people who have experienced it in cold, wet UK winter conditions. In those conditions, yes, the compound stiffens and the rear gets unpredictable. But in the correct temperature range, the Cup 2 is one of the most thrilling road tires you can legally fit to a car. The wet performance surprises everyone who tests it back-to-back against road-focused performance tires. It simply does not behave like a track-only product in warm conditions. 2 important caveats. First, the Cup 2 needs heat to wake up. Cold lap 1 showed a nervous rear axle. By lap 2 and 3, it was transformed. Second, for year-round use in cold-wet climates, it is genuinely not recommended, but for warm-weather performance driving, on road and track, the Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2 belongs in this top 3, and it was only beaten by 2 extraordinary tires. Bridgestone Potenza Sport Evo. The Bridgestone Potenza Sport. Evo arrived in this test carrying a specific job: fix the 2 problems that held the original Potenza Sport back: high rolling resistance and catastrophic track wear, while keeping everything that made it exceptional. It delivered. In wet handling, the Potenza Sport Evo was significantly faster than the Continental, another couple of seconds per lap. The front-end bite was extraordinary, the kind of turn-in where the car just follows your hands instantly and without hesitation. In dry handling, the non-linear steering ramp meant that once you committed to a corner, the response accelerated with you. It is not subtle, it is not calm, it is thrilling in a way that makes you want to immediately do the lap again. Miami performance driving instructor Dr. Lisa Chen has tested the Potenza Sport Evo across 4 separate track sessions since its release. Bridgestone has done something difficult here. They took a tire that had real weaknesses and strengthened them without softening what made it special. The wet performance in the Evo version is genuinely better than the already strong original. The steering character, that non-linear, aggressive response, is intact, and the early signs on track wear suggest they have addressed the durability issue significantly. This is a tire that drivers who care about feel will fall in love with immediately. At its current retail price and with this level of wet and dry performance, the Potenza Sport Evo costs you one thing: it is demanding. If you want your tire to flatter you and hide your mistakes, look elsewhere. If you want a tire that rewards commitment and makes driving feel like an event, the Bridgestone Potenza Sport Evo is one of the best products in this category right now. It only lost first place to a tire that did something nobody in this test expected to be possible. Pirelli P0R. The Pirelli P0R is the best performance summer tire in this test, by a margin that frankly should not be possible. Here's what it did. Best in wet handling, by 2 seconds per lap over the Bridgestone Potenza Sport Evo, which was already dominant. Best in dry handling, faster than the Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2, a tire with semi-slick DNA, which had no business being beaten on a dry circuit by a street tire. Best in dry braking from 60 miles per hour. That is wet, dry handling, and dry braking, a clean sweep that has not happened in a test of this caliber in recent memory. Chicago performance tire engineer Dr. James Rodriguez spent 3 days analyzing the P0R compound and construction following the test. What Pirelli has done with the P0R is extraordinary from an engineering standpoint. The wet grip levels should not coexist with dry performance at this level. Normally you are trading one for the other. A wet-biased compound gives up some dry grip and vice versa. The P0R is not playing by those rules. The front end generates grip that just does not seem to run out. I pushed the test car deeper and harder into corners than I have with any other street tire, and the front kept communicating, kept biting, kept holding. The rear was rock solid throughout. This is a step change in what a street performance tire can deliver. But here's what should alarm every other tire manufacturer in this category. The P0R also beat the Continental Sport Contact 7 in wet braking, the tire that has dominated wet braking tests for 2 years in straight-line aquaplaning resistance, and delivered all of this with reasonable real-world usability. It is not the most comfortable tire in this group. It does not have the lowest rolling resistance, but it is the undisputed performance leader. Seattle driving journalist David Foster put it simply after testing the P0R back-to-back with the Bridgestone. I kept expecting to find the limit of this tire. I never found it. That does not happen on a street tire. One practical note: at time of testing, the P0R is available in only 3 rim sizes. If your vehicle takes one of those sizes, fit it. If not, Pirelli have confirmed additional sizes are coming very soon. At its current price and this level of performance, the Pirelli P0R is the answer to the question of which performance summer tire to buy in 2026. Full stop. One tire beat a semi-slick in the dry and the wet braking benchmark in the wet. Same tire. Same day. That is the Pirelli P0R, and it is not close. Has your performance tire ever failed to deliver what it promised? Drop it in the comments.